My name is Emily Richardson, 29, and I'm an administrative assistant at Tech Global. This year-end lunch has always been my personal nightmare. Seated at the back table, I observe every glance, every fake smile from my colleagues. I'm the only Black woman in this corporate space in downtown Chicago. The expensive dresses, the elegant suits, and me, so different. My hands grip the fork while listening to conversations about European trips, million-dollar projects. I notice the whispers, the silences when I pass. I don't need to look directly to feel like a strange body in this environment. Michael, my manager, distributes champagne. His eyes avoid me. They always avoid me. Tonight, as the champagne circulates, I ask myself, for how long will I remain invisible? In this place that is also mine, the corporate lunch becomes a minefield of racial tensions. Each glance, each whisper, each veiled comment reminds me of my condition as a Black woman in this predominantly white space. Sarah from HR makes a comment about my hair. How exotic you look today. Emily, her tone drips with condescension, a microaggression wrapped in a false compliment. The men at the table laugh at subtly racist jokes. Michael, marketing manager, tells a story where my name appears as an example of a problematic employee. My body trembles with contained rage. I serve the champagne with a perfect smile, aware that every movement will be scrutinized. The survival strategy in racist corporate spaces is to be impeccable, twice as much as anyone else. My hands, holding the tray, tremble slightly, not from fear, but from the rage accumulated over years of invisibility and subtle discrimination. I observe the expensive suits, luxury watches, designer shoes. I'm the only one representing a different reality at this corporate table. My uniform, though elegant, marks a distance. I am the assistant, the worker, the one who serves, not the one being served. The comments continue, jokes about my origin, my hair, my way of speaking. Each word is a small wound that accumulates. I breathe deeply. I know I represent more than a Black body in a white space. I am resistance, I am history. I am the future. Michael looks at me and smiles. That false gesture of inclusion provokes nausea. I know this type of hypocritical smile. The background music plays. The glasses clink. I remain invisible, but completely aware. My mind is already plotting something. No more silence. No more passive acceptance of discrimination. My colleagues' eyes pierce through me. But do not destroy me. I am stronger than their looks. A thought crosses my mind. This lunch will be the last of my silent existence. Am I ready to break the silence and transform the space? The lunch continues, and my silence is more deafening than any word. I've spent years swallowing insults, microaggressions, looks that reduced me to a statistic. I remember my first day at Tech Global. I thought it would be different. The illusion of an inclusive space quickly crumbled between fake smiles and meetings, where my voice never existed. My coffee remains untouched. I don't want to seem discourteous, but each sip feels like swallowing poison. The comments around me are a constant, silent aggression. Executives talk about diversity as if it were a passing trend. I am the living proof that diversity is not a slogan, but a painful reality. My impeccable uniform is my armor. Each fold, each button represents years of preparation to survive in this corporate world not designed for me. Michael's eyes systematically avoid me. When I need to present a report, his gaze searches for any other point in the room. The background music plays like a soundtrack of my own invisibility. Champagne circulates. Laughter erupts, and I remain a shadow in this white universe. My thoughts are a silent storm. How many years have I swallowed these humiliations? How many times have I stayed quiet to not be seen as a problematic employee? The expensive plates reflect my face. I see a tired woman, but not defeated. My resistance is greater than any racist comment. The corporate table is a minefield. Each word can be a trap, each look a sentence. I breathe deeply. I know my story doesn't end here. My existence is larger than this moment, larger than this lunch. The silver cutlery shines, reflecting faces that ignore me. But I am here, present, resisting. My silence is not submission. It's a survival strategy built over years. Something inside me begins to break. This lunch will be different. I don't know how, but it will be. A question echoes in my mind. Has my time to speak arrived? The comment arrived like a precise blow. Michael, with his hypocritical smile, drops a phrase that crosses any tolerable limit. Emily is the only one who can clean up this mess, right? After all, that's what employees of her condition are for. The table falls silent. Some avert their gaze, others suppress an uncomfortable laugh. My hands, until then still, begin to tremble, not from fear, but from a rage contained for years. I remember all the times I swallowed insults, smiled to avoid being the problematic employee. Each microaggression, each racist comment, accumulates like an internal wound bleeding silently. David, my manager, remains silent. His silence is more deafening than any word. It's a certification that my existence in this corporate space is merely tolerated, never truly accepted. The expensive suits, luxury watches, brilliant jewelry of my colleagues contrast with my wounded dignity. I am more than a black body in an impeccable uniform. My mind begins to process. No more silence. No more passive acceptance of the systematic discrimination surrounding me. Champagne circulates. Sporadic laughter attempts to break the tension. But I am no longer the same. Something inside me has awakened. Years of preparation, of studies, of resistance accumulate in this moment. My career, my dignity, my identity are being publicly challenged. Sarah's eyes, the HR manager, observe me. She knows, she always knew, and never did anything. The corporate table transforms into a minefield. Each look, each whisper, each movement, carries a tension about to explode. I breathe deeply. I know my story doesn't end here. My existence is larger than this moment, larger than this year-end lunch. The silver cutlery shines, reflecting faces trying to ignore me. But I am here, present, resisting. My silence is no longer an option. This will be the moment of transformation. Michael continues talking, unaware of the earthquake he provoked inside me. He doesn't know that each of his words is fuel for my resistance. A question resonates in my mind. Has my moment to speak and transform everything arrived? The table's silence becomes my ally. Each look, each whisper, turns into fuel for my determination. I will no longer be the invisible employee everyone ignores. I remember my journey, years of study, of sacrifices, of sleepless nights preparing for this corporate moment. I didn't come this far to be reduced to a simple racial stereotype. My hands take the champagne, not to drink, but to calm the internal tremor running through me. Adrenaline begins to circulate through my veins, mixing with years of contained rage. Sarah, the HR manager, observes me. Her eyes betray a nervousness that doesn't go unnoticed. She knows something is about to happen. David, my manager, continues avoiding any eye contact. His discomfort is more evident than ever. Years of complicit silence are about to be charged. Mentally, I organize the data, representation statistics, numbers about diversity in the company. Each data point will be ammunition in my speech. The lunch continues, but my mind is no longer there. I'm building the moment that will change everything. It won't be a complaint. It will be a declaration of principles. I look at Michael, who moments before humiliated me. His fake laugh, his arrogance, will be the first point of my intervention. No more microaggressions disguised as corporate humor. I breathe deeply. I know this moment is not just mine, but for everyone who has been silenced. I represent more than myself. The silver cutlery, expensive dresses, elegant suits. Everything becomes secondary to the truth I'm about to reveal. My uniform is no longer a mark of inferiority. It will be my armor. Each fold, each button, represents my dignity. The tension at the table is palpable. Something will change and everyone feels it. My silence will transform into a storm of words. Years of tolerance end today. No more fake smiles. No more passive acceptance of systematic discrimination. My colleagues look at me, not knowing I'm about to break all the unwritten rules of this corporate space. A question echoes in my mind. Am I ready to transform this lunch into a turning point? I raise my champagne glass. The sound of crystal against metal creates an instant silence. Everyone looks at me, for the first time, completely. My breath is deep. Years of silence accumulate in this fraction of a second. I will no longer be the invisible employee everyone ignores. I have something to say. My voice sounds different. It's not the submissive voice of habit, but an instrument of confrontation and truth. Michael looks at me with a mix of surprise and contempt. David averts his gaze. Sarah holds her breath. I know each word will be a bomb. I start with hard data, percentages of black representation in the company, numbers that reveal structural inequality. These are not opinions. They are evidence. My hands no longer tremble. Each statistic is a precise blow against the institutional racism surrounding me. I am not just an assistant, I say. I am a professional. I am a human being. My color does not define my capability. The tension is unbearable. Some colleagues lower their eyes. Others look at me with a mix of shame and admiration. I remember my journey, nights of study, sacrifices, overcoming. Everything prepared me for this moment. The silence is deafening. My words float in the environment like a sentence. There's no going back. Sarah takes notes discreetly. David seems to want to disappear. Michael maintains his fake smile, but his eyes betray nervousness. My speech is not a complaint. It's a declaration of principles. I represent many who never had a voice. The silver cutlery, expensive dresses lose importance in the face of the truth I'm revealing. Each phrase is a blow against structural racism. I'm not seeking compassion. I'm demanding respect. Am I truly Prepared for the consequences of this moment. Asterisk silence is a beast devouring the environment. My words flow like invisible daggers, piercing through each elegant suit, each corporate mask. David attempts to interrupt. Emily, this is not appropriate, he mumbles. His voice sounds weak, almost pathetic after my declaration. Michael changes color, his fake smile crumbles like a porcelain mask. He didn't expect this version of me. The employee who had always been submissive, Sarah, the HR manager, takes notes frenetically. Her hands tremble. She knows what's happening transcends a simple year-end lunch. Some colleagues lower their gaze. Others observe me with a mix of admiration and fear. My speech has broken all the unwritten rules of this corporate space. My statistics hit like hammer blows, percentages of discrimination, unequal salaries, absence of promotion for Black professionals. I didn't come here to be your invisible employee, I say. I came to be recognized for my talent. Each word is a missile directed at structural racism. The champagne in the glasses trembles. The tension is so palpable it could be cut with a knife. I remember all the times I remained silent, all the microaggressions I swallowed. This moment is a liberation of years of accumulated silence. David tries to interrupt again. I look at him directly. My gaze freezes him. No more submission, no more tolerance, the old racist jokes, the veiled comments. Everything is exposed like dirty laundry in the middle of this corporate lunch. My uniform is no longer a symbol of servitude. It is my armor. Each fold tells a story of resistance. The faces around me reveal the true face of the company. They are not inclusive. They are hypocrites. I know that after this moment, nothing will be the same. Not for me. Not for them. Am I prepared for the consequences of breaking this deafening silence? Asterisk, the atmosphere becomes unbearable. My words have created a silent explosion that traverses every corner of the corporate lunch room. David stands up, trying to contain the chaos I provoked. This is unacceptable, he says. But his voice sounds hollow, without authority. Michael attempts a nervous smile. His eyes betray panic. He didn't expect the submissive employee to transform into a voice of confrontation. The executives exchange glances, some embarrassed, others clearly uncomfortable. My speech has uncovered a pot of uncomfortable truths. Sarah, the HR manager, abandons her professional mask. Her notes reveal the record of a historic moment for the company. I remember each microaggression, each dismissive look. This moment is a silent revenge of years of contained discrimination. The champagne grows cold in the glasses. No one dares to drink. My words have turned the lunch into an unexpected battlefield. My uniform, previously a symbol of submission, is now a war outfit. Each button, each fold tells a story of resistance. The data I present is demolishing. Percentages of racial discrimination, salary gaps, absence of promotion for Black professionals. David attempts to interrupt me again. I look at him directly. My gaze freezes him more than any word. The faces around me change. Discomfort transforms into a sepulchral silence. Nobody expected this confrontation. I know what's happening transcends this lunch. It's an inflection point. For the company, for my career, for my life. The unwritten rules of the corporate space crumble with each word I pronounce. My voice sounds different. It's not the submissive voice from before, but an instrument of truth and confrontation. Am I ready to face the consequences of this moment that will change everything? Asterisk, the statistics flow from my lips like an unstoppable waterfall. Each number is an accusation. Each percentage a direct blow to corporate hypocrisy. Only 2% of senior positions in this company are occupied by Black professionals, I say. My voice doesn't tremble. Each word is a hammer against structural racism. Michael tries to interrupt. I silence him with a look. His attempts to minimize my speech crumble before irrefutable data. David sinks into his chair. Discomfort consumes him. He knows my words unmask years of systematic discrimination. My colleagues look at me as if seeing me for the first time. I'm not the submissive assistant. I'm a professional with a voice and compelling data. My uniform no longer means servitude. It's my armor. Each fold tells a story of resistance and dignity. The champagne glasses tremble. The atmosphere becomes denser with each revelation. No one dares to move, to breathe. I enumerate unequal salaries, lack of opportunities, invisible glass ceilings for Black professionals in the company. Sarah takes notes frenetically. Her expression reveals that my words are generating an internal earthquake in human resources. Old racist jokes, condescending looks. Everything is exposed like dirty laundry in the middle of lunch. I remember my journey, nights of study, sacrifices, humiliations. Everything prepared me for this moment of confrontation. My statistics are more than numbers. They are silenced voices, invisible histories. Interrupted dreams. The silence is deafening. My words float in the environment like an unappealable sentence. Each phrase destroys corporate masks, revealing the true face of discrimination. Am I prepared to transform this lunge into a historic turning point? My voice expands through the room like a shockwave. Each word destroys the complicit silence that surrounded me for years. David attempts to stand up, but I freeze him with a look. No more interruptions, no more attempts to silence me. The faces around me change. Discomfort transforms into contained panic. My revelations are like bombs dismantling the racist structure. Michael loses his fake smile. His eyes reflect the fear of someone who knows they've been discovered, exposed in all their racist misery. I remember each humiliation, each dismissive look. This moment is not just mine. It's for all the invisible Black professionals. Sarah takes notes frenetically. Her expression reveals that my words are generating an internal earthquake in human resources. The champagne grows cold in the glasses. No one dares to drink. My speech has turned the lunch into an unexpected battlefield. My statistics are like daggers, piercing the heart of corporate hypocrisy. Each number represents a story of exclusion. The executives exchange nervous glances. The truth hurts more than any direct confrontation. My uniform is no longer a symbol of submission. It's my armor. Each fold tells a story of resistance and dignity. I know what's happening transcends this lunge. It's a turning point for the company, for my career, for my life. The unwritten rules of the corporate space crumble with each word I pronounce. I remember my journey. Nights of study, sacrifices, humiliations. Everything prepared me for this moment of confrontation. My voice sounds different. It's not the submissive voice from before, but an instrument of truth and liberation. Am I prepared to face the consequences of breaking this deafening silence? The silence becomes unbearable. My words have created an irreparable fracture in the corporate structure. David attempts to regain control. This is unacceptable, he mumbles, but his voice sounds like a weak whisper against my demolishing truth. The executives exchange looks of panic. My revelations are not simple accusations. They are sentences with irrefutable evidence. Michael completely loses his mask of false cordiality. His hands tremble, spilling champagne on the immaculate white tablecloth. Sarah, the HR manager, drops her notebook. The statistics I've presented are a tsunami that will destroy the corporate image. I remember each humiliation, each dismissive look. This moment represents the silent revenge of years of discrimination. The lunch has transformed into a tribunal. I am the prosecutor, the witness, and the protagonist of this historic revelation. My data is like bombs dismantling the racist structure meticulously built over decades. The faces around me change. Discomfort transforms into palpable fear. No one expected this level of confrontation. My uniform no longer represents submission. It's a battlesuit. Each fold tells a story of resistance and dignity. I know what's happening transcends this moment. It's a turning point for the company, for my career, for my life. The unwritten rules of the corporate space crumble like a fragile house of cards. I remember my journey. Nights of study, sacrifices, humiliations. Everything prepared me for this moment of liberation. My voice sounds different. It's not the submissive voice from before, but an instrument of truth and justice. Am I prepared to face the consequences of this earthquake I've provoked? Silence breaks like crystal. The first reactions are a murmur that grows into a roar of disbelief. David attempts to regain control, but his words sound hollow. My speech has demolished any attempt at manipulation. Michael stands up, trying to interrupt. I look at him directly. His power crumbles with each second I continue speaking. The executives exchange looks of panic. They didn't expect this version of me, the assistant who was always invisible. Sarah takes notes frenetically. Her hands tremble, revealing the impact of my words on the corporate structure. I remember each humiliation, each dismissive look. This moment is the culmination of years of silent resistance. The lunch transforms into a battlefield. My statistics are weapons dismantling institutional racism. My colleagues look at me as if seeing me for the first time. I'm not the submissive employee. I'm a professional with a voice and data. The champagne grows cold in the glasses. No one dares to drink. My speech has frozen the corporate environment. My uniform no longer means servitude, it's my armor. Each fold tells a story of dignity and resistance. I know what's happening transcends this lunge. It's a turning point for the company and my career. The unwritten rules of the corporate space crumble like a fragile house of cards. I remember my journey. Nights of study, sacrifices, humiliations. Everything prepared me for this moment of liberation. My voice sounds different. It's not the submissive voice from before, but an instrument of truth and justice. Am I prepared to face the consequences of this earthquake I've provoked? The silence that surrounded me for years transforms into a cry of liberation. Each word I pronounce reconstructs me. David tries to maintain composure, but his authority crumbles before my truth. No more submission, no more invisibility. My colleagues look at me as if seeing me for the first time. I'm not the assistant who serves coffee. I'm a professional with history and dignity. Michael looks down. His attempts at intimidation vanish like smoke. My speech has destroyed his silent power. Sarah takes notes compulsively. My revelations are an earthquake shaking the foundations of human resources. I remember each humiliation, every dismissive look, every racist joke. Everything converges in this moment of transformation. The corporate lunch is no longer a space of silence, it's my platform, my personal battlefield. My statistics are more than numbers. They are voices never heard, stories never told. The champagne grows cold in the glasses, no one dares to drink. My speech has frozen any attempt at normalization. My uniform no longer represents submission. It's my armor. Each fold tells a story of resistance and dignity. I know what's happening transcends this moment. It's my personal turning point. My professional rebirth. The unwritten rules of the corporate space crumble like a fragile house of cards. Each word reconstructs me. I'm not the same Emily of minutes ago. I'm stronger, more conscious, more free. My voice sounds different. It's not a frightened whisper, but a roar of transformation and truth. Am I prepared for the path that opens after this moment? The silence transforms into a rumor that grows, expanding through the entire company like an unstoppable earthquake. David attempts to regain control, but his words sound hollow. My speech has demolished any attempt at manipulation. My colleagues look at me with a mix of astonishment and respect. I'm not the same invisible assistant from moments ago. Michael lowers his gaze, defeated. His attempts at intimidation vanish before my compelling truth. Sarah takes notes frenetically. My revelations are a turning point for the human resources department. I remember each past humiliation, every dismissive look, every racist joke. Everything converges in this moment of liberation. The corporate lunch transforms into my space of vindication. Each word is a step toward justice. My statistics are more than numbers. They are life stories. A struggle of silent resistance. The champagne grows cold in the glasses, no one dares to drink. My speech has frozen any attempt at normalization. My uniform no longer represents submission. It's my armor. Each fold tells a story of dignity and resistance. I know what's happening transcends this moment. It's my professional rebirth. My personal turning point. The unwritten rules of the corporate space crumble like a fragile house of cards. Each word reconstructs me. I'm stronger, more conscious, more free than ever. My voice sounds different. It's not a frightened whisper, but a roar of transformation and truth. Am I prepared for the new horizons that open after this moment? The silence breaks definitively. My voice has transformed the corporate lunch into a space of vindication and truth. David no longer attempts to control the situation. My speech has demolished any power structure that tried to silence me. My colleagues look at me with a mix of astonishment, respect, and guilt. I am the protagonist of my own liberation story. Michael, completely defeated, cannot articulate a word. His attempts at intimidation crumble before my truth. Sarah drops her notebook. My revelations have transformed the human resources department into a battlefield. I remember each past humiliation, every dismissive look, every racist joke. Everything converges in this moment of victory. The corporate lunch is no longer a space of silence. It's my platform, my place of social transformation. My statistics are more than numbers. They are cries of resistance, life stories demanding to be heard. The champagne grows cold in the glasses. My speech has frozen any attempt to normalize racism. My uniform no longer represents submission. It's my armor. Each fold tells a story of dignity and struggle. I know what has happened transcends this moment. It's my professional rebirth. My personal turning point. The unwritten rules of the corporate space crumble like a fragile house of cards. Each word has reconstructed me. I am stronger, more conscious, more free than ever. My voice is no longer a frightened whisper, but a roar of transformation and truth. Now I ask you, who have listened to my story, have you ever experienced racism? Do you want to share your experience? Leave me a comment, share your story. Together, we can create awareness, transform spaces, and combat structural racism. If this story resonated with you, share it. Every like, every comment, every share is a step towards social justice. #experience again #hashtag stories that matter #social transformation *.